We got some dancing to do.
From David Lynch, the director of Twin Peaks, comes this summer's wildest love story. Newsweek calls it spectacular and funny.
You got me hotter than Georgia asphalt.
USA Today says it's a must-see.
You really are dangerously cute, baby.
And the Chicago Tribune calls it stunning.
Rockin' good news.
David Lynch's Wild at Heart. Rated R. Starts Friday, August 17th at theaters nationwide.
And welcome to Twin Peaks Unwrapped. I'm your host, Bryon Kozowski, and beside me
is Ben Durant and
me, J.C. via computer.
Hey, J.C.
J.C. We have J.C. via the interwebs.
So if I do my job right and I edited this on time, today would be the day that the Wild at Heart Blu-ray comes out.
Drops.
I mean, I think it was what come out was a few months ago, and then there was some technical issues with and they recalled it.
Yeah.
So this week is the Wild at Heart Blu-ray release.
And they recalled it because of a minor menu issue.
Yes, we learned that from Rob King. He shared with us that there was I think it's just the sound wasn't playing in the menu. And it's like, I have it. I got it through Amazon, and it works fine.
Yeah.
JC, you've seen parts of Wild at Heart, but this is the first time you've seen the whole film?
This is the first time I've seen the whole film. I've seen, like, GIFs, because it's like Andrew and Laura's favorite GIF is Lula dancing on the bed and Nicolas Cage with his snakeskin jacket, doing the whole thing. Yeah, it was the first time I've seen the film all the way through. It was interesting.
That's a good way to describe it.
There was parts of it that I loved. There was parts of it I didn't like. There was deleted scenes that was on the green box set that you lovingly gave to me to borrow.
The same deleted scenes that are on the new Blu-ray, so they're the same quality, it's the same thing.
But the deleted scenes, I found, I'm almost wishing that David would do like a Missing Pieces Wild at Heart where he would merge the two, because I actually liked some of the backstory and some of the scenes that were in the deleted scenes more than I liked scenes that were in the actual film.
Isn't that something? Can you give us an example? Do you remember one of the scenes?
I kind of like that Del had more of a backstory, even though it was kind of a very disgusting and lurid backstory, but I kind of like how it made more sense that maybe he kind of went a little off the tip. There's a line there was a scene between Lula and Sailor when they're in the bed, and he's talking about the cotton ball scene where he says, I had a dream about the cotton ball under the bed, and it's a very kind of like tumultuous scene between the two of them, and she's, trying to get him out of it. They get into a very intimate moment, and then Lynch pans down and one cotton ball is under the bed.
Oh.
That was true Lynch fashion. That was a very Lynchian moment.
Yeah.
And I don't think there was as many Lynchian moments in this because it was an adaptation. And I think Lynch wanted to stay true to the story, but kind of expand it a little bit. But he didn't want to make it so his. Do you know what I mean by that? Like,
yeah,
you know
I
how
do.
We know Lynch movies. I mean,
right.
Come on, he's very.
Yeah.
With like, I watched it and then I listened to Lindsay and Aiden's Bickering Peaks webcast about Wild at Heart, and they made a lot of valid points. Aiden didn't like it as much as Lindsay did. He said it was okay. He goes, it was better than Dune, which is not scoring too high. I think that at the core of the movie, it's a love story.
Yes.
Yeah.
I loved Laura Dern in it. I loved Laura Dern.
Oh, yeah.
I think Lula was a great fleshed out character, more so than Lindsay did and Aiden did. She thought she was more of an archetype, but I'm not so sure. There was a scene today. I'm looking at my notes. I made notes.
Nice.
There was the scene where they're driving in the car before the accident, before they get to the clothes and the thing, and where she sees her mother as the Wicked Witch of the West flying beside the car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a very Lynchian moment because we all know how Lynch loves Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
But that scene where Sailor tells her that, he was there the night her father died, and he says, are you mad at me? And she says, well, boy, you're keeping secrets, and said, we all got a secret side, baby. And then she sees her mother, and it's almost like an epiphany for her. She realizes that her mother the whole time was, I think, against her.
Mm-hmm.
I think at that moment, that's why she sees her as the Wicked Witch, and then turns back and goes, you sure don't know people, or you sure. So I forget her line exactly. I'm paraphrasing, but I really think that was like her moment of clarity, thinking, oh, something wasn't right. My daddy didn't commit suicide.
Yeah.
There was something more sinister if Sale was there and whatnot. There was parts of it that I really liked, and then there was other parts that I was just kind of like, huh? Like Bobby Peru. Let me tell you something. William Dafoe freaks me out normally without those fake teeth. But put those fake teeth in his mouth, and then it was like...
Yeah. So creepy.
Yeah. I mean, when I first saw this film, I first saw it last year, and revisiting it this past weekend, I think I appreciate it more that time has passed. And I really, it's up there for me. It's hard.
He says about this
I know.
Lynch film. Every Lynch film we do.
I know, but
this might be one of my favorites.
I had a year to let it simmer, and I'm watching the bonus features. Man, I really love these characters, and I like the story.
But maybe you're like JC. You just like the bonus stuff. You like the bonus footage.
Yeah, but a part of me wish I had time to rewatch the film. I just watched all the bonus stuff. What I want to say is Bobby Peru, that one scene. So I'm watching this last year, and Allison's in the room.
Oh, my God.
And she's just like, what are you watching? And I'm like, I don't know. And it became so uncomfortable. I'm like sweating profusely.
This is the fuck me.
Yes.
Oh,
and I'm like sweating. And she's just like, when is this going to end? I'm like, I don't know. This is so uncomfortable.
You want to know why that scene is uncomfortable, and I realized it after, because I actually watched a couple of clips today to like refresh my memory from watching it over the weekend. Is Lula trauma she's been through, like, and then the backstory is Dell. We don't know that in the original, but when you watch the deleted scenes, you know that story as well.
Yes.
So that kind of like, because I watched that, like I'm like, oh, all right, I have that in my head, but all right, let's just say it's just we know the uncle story. The way she is like such a sexually awakened person, that scene is bad because at that one moment, it's almost like she's okay with what he's doing. It makes it uncomfortable because when it's almost like she's, I won't say she's turned on, but it's not, at that moment, for 2 seconds, it's not an assault. It's different. And then when he leaves her alone and she says it, he breaks her. Then you realize how bad it is. But up until that point, there's a fine line of, yeah, this is bad, but she's not pushing away from it. She's almost engaging in it with him. So that was weird for me.
He thinks he can get what he wants, and he's playing with her.
Right. It's such a disturbing
But
scene.
I think almost he's seeing if he can get her, and he doesn't know her background. But when you learn about the uncle and then the cousin and how she was pregnant with Adele's baby, all that
that's
stuff.
not in the regular movie.
No,
That's
that's
only
in
through
the
the bonus.
deleted scenes. That really flushes out that she's this innocent kind of naive girl who's just going through life, and these guys are just taking advantage of her, and it doesn't even matter if it's family. Sort of like a deer in the headlights, almost like, I don't know what to do. Why are these men doing these horrible things to me? They should know better than me.
Right, but there's a couple times, like the scene when they're jumping on the bed and then they go to the heavy metal concert, and the guy starts dancing with her, and Sailor stops him and says, "Apologize to her."
Yeah.
And she says, she goes, "That's all right." She goes, "You were just, you just kind of bumped into me." She knows that she's a beautiful girl that men are attracted to. But at the same time, it's kind of she's only for Sailor. So I don't know. That scene with Bobby Peru bothers me. And like I said, I don't think like she's asking for it but he breaks her to the point of admitting, even though she doesn't want to. And that's the uncomfortable part of it, because she's so used to kind of being that kind of object, it seems, in certain instances, that at that one moment she breaks because she found out she's pregnant and the whole thing. And,
she's emotional.
Right? That's yeah.
Yeah, it is a rough scene, and it's great to hear your interpretation of it, because it's like sometimes you just don't know. I'm like, what the heck is going on? And William Dafoe's take about it, he talks about coming in with that stupid joke, "Can I pee on your head?" And then he's like, not your head, the bathroom. And then he said, "I'm going this far," which is so disturbing. And then afterwards we're breaking it. And Lynch even acknowledges the fact that you're starting off, you can't go over that edge. And even Lynch was saying, you gotta break the tension.
You gotta know when it's too much for the audience.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I think the scene wasn't as intense, and on that day, David Lynch made it more intense.
He actually came up with that scene on the day. That scene wasn't even in the script.
Oh man,
they said.
That's
Lynch
crazy.
Came up with it right on the spot.
The actors, they believed enough in him to be like, okay, yes, we'll play it this way.
Yeah.
Was it the deleted scenes with Isabella Rossellini and Bobby Peru, where she's laying on the couch and he gets up and he grabs her just like he grabs Lula in that scene, and she smacks him?
That was deleted.
I think that was a deleted scene.
See, now that's where if they had that scene in mirroring the scene with Lula, you would see the difference, because here it is. This is kind of a bad woman, Isabella Rossellini's character, and she's kind of like that gangster mall character, but a little bit more. and she doesn't take it.
Mm-hmm.
And he does the same thing. He does the hand down and the grab and the pinch, and she hauls off and hits him.
Yeah.
Nice.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like I wish that scene was put in there just to mirror so you would see the difference in the dynamic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Lynch talked about how he took out a lot of footage. They did a test screening, and they said that like people walked out. We've gone too far.
Well, they said the scene with Johnny Farragut where he gets killed, people walked out. And I'm thinking, I've watched that scene, and I watched it twice. I watched it once on the DVD, and then I watched it once like at work. I was, seeing clips again. And that scene, Grace Zabrowski again is brilliant. It's so funny because like a lot of people like, I can't understand a word she says. I'm like, I understand every word she said. I'm like, that's kind of funny. But and David Kelly is in the scene and the whole thing. I think what makes that scene so uncomfortable is Harry Dean Stanton's expressions behind the tape. Like just his eyes, like you feel bad for Johnny because he's sort of, even though he's not a great guy, he's sort of a good guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and, like, he lets them go, and
it's after the scene they kill him, and then it gets very sexual.
I think that's what that was additional.
That's right.
Yeah. So it wasn't like it was just you went from violence to sex in one scene.
And I think they had killed him. They killed him, and they just kind of like enjoyed themselves.
Yeah. Which is like it goes with what these characters are all about, but maybe seeing that on the big screen might be a little too much. They said people were getting heart palpitations and sweating.
It's impressive to see that Lynch saw that and say, "Okay, we know we've gone too far." And we're gonna
he
take
acknowledged that. Yeah.
So we talked about
he did,
stuff that's not in the book. The Wizard of Oz stuff is not part of the book. That's David Lynch. So all this stuff, and that's probably my favorite part of the film is these different times where you have the good witch and the bad witch.
I would think Freddie Jones, to me, is the Munchkin.
You're totally right. Yes. But that wasn't intentional.
No, it wasn't intentional. And Laura Dern says there was a Munchkin, but it might have been cut out of the film. She goes, they did have a Munchkin. But I kind of think that fast-voiced Freddie Jones is the new Munchkin. Yes. I don't know. That's how I see it.
That scene, I actually like that scene. That scene is there again, I think there's little nuances of Lynchian things, and that it essentially is a Lynchian moment with Freddie Jones talking to them, and I enjoyed that scene.
Maybe this is a good time. We actually got to talk to Freddie Jones. Maybe this is a good time to insert right here our interview with Freddie Jones. Your son, Toby Jones, who's a fabulous actor just like yourself, he said that, acting saved your life. Do you feel that way? Do you think acting really did save your life?
It's a philosophical need. You need to do it. It's a dynamic that you crave for, really.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it sounded like it was like an awakening, like, you were doing other jobs, and then when you realized that acting was what you wanted to do, it was kind of like an awakening for you.
That's right, yes. The culture from which I come, which is the industrial north, which is very difficult, very hard, there's no question of being anything. The optimum you could hope for was sitting behind a desk with a pension at the end of it. That is the tops. Anything else is for other people.
David Lynch and producer Jonathan Sanger wanted you to be in The Elephant Man. They went to a play, and they actually had coffee with you afterwards to try to convince you to be in the movie.
They asked me to be in The Elephant Man. And I read the script, and I thought it was hopelessly overloaded with pathos. It didn't need all that added pathos. It was pathetic enough as a story. So I turned it down. And then my agent said they've upped the fee, and will you please go and talk to them? That's David and the producer, which I did for about half an hour, and they said, you can rewrite it. And I said, no, I bloody can't, because what talent I have is very circumscribed, and I couldn't do that. Nonetheless, during the talking, I thought I might find a way out of all this, the way it was written. However, I failed, and don't read my notices, but somebody said you got a marvelous notice in Time magazine. I said, oh, that's bloody good. He said, I believe it to be absolutely right. However, the real villain of the piece was played by that great bad actor, Freddie Jones, who hammed his way through the film like an old-time movie villain. And I think that's about right. I think that's a fair criticism.
Yeah, that's great. Lynch recently has a memoir that came out, and he was kind of saying that you kind of looked at this as a one-note villain, and that you wanted to bring so much more to the character. And one of the things I think I heard somewhere else, too, is that you saw this as being a character who loved, and in a way, he was like an abusive father who loved his child.
I tried to give it some bloody background. There was no background to it, no history. So I asked for ridiculous and silver cruets and a tablecloth and a box I was eating of and stuff like that. And the clothes I wore was good, but old, but good quality stuff. But it was all an attempt to give it some substance and background, and that I would be caring for him. But it wasn't true. It didn't come through properly. I failed.
I think it's an amazing performance. I just rewatched The Elephant Man, and I'm blown away by your performance in every scene. I think you really did carry that character, and you made that character more complicated and more interesting. So I'm very thankful that you brought that forward, and you were able to convince David Lynch that the character needed to be more.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
This was only David Lynch's second film. What was your impression of this young director?
I've scribbled a couple of notes about him, which you might like to hear. First of all, I would like to say anybody would want him as a friend. That's the opener. That's what I say. And I'm not being sycophantic because he doesn't direct films anymore, so I'm not sucking up to him. So that's that. He is an extraordinary man of brilliant, towering talent. He is a number of things. One, he has a very, very dark imagination, but it is a brilliant, fertile, fruitful imagination, but very dark, which I share with him because my imagination's the same. I say he has the exuberance of an excited first undergraduate, young undergraduate, and on the other, the darkness of Edgar Allan Poe. It's a sort of combination of the two, which is wonderful. Now, I'm going to give you a line from one of my very favorite poems. If you quote this to him, he'll grab you with joy. He'll just kiss you, probably, and say, that's bloody wonderful. Yeah. So here it is. He often dives into the deep sea undertow of the dark and dreaming mind.
I love it. Who wrote that poem?
A man called Tessimond, that's Tessimond, and it's called Portrait of a Romantic.
That's awesome. That's really something.
If you show him that, he'll grab you.
And Lynch has said that you're one of the greatest human beings on earth. He's been quoted as saying that in the book Lynch on Lynch, and he really loves you.
I've done 5 things for him. He once flew me 6,000 miles to play a Midwestern American. And my agent said, "He's got a beard." He said, "Could he lose the beard?" And my agent said, "No, because he's committed to this beard. It's another thing." To which he said, we'll live with the beard. Get him over here. It was a thing called Hotel. What's it called? Hotel
Room.
I think.
Yeah, Hotel Room.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't remember anything about it except one thing. He said to me, what I'd like you to do is a complete sexual act in this, just by sound, in the scene. And I said, I thought I'd done every fucking thing, but I never thought I'd do this. So I said, David, I want bloody privacy. So he said, yeah, okay, let's move over here. So we moved. This darling young actress tried to help me by putting her arm around me and cuddling me a bit, trying to help me to get into this passionately sexual mood, you see, which I had to do with an orgasm at the end of it. And I said, it's a bloody pity that she and I weren't both method actors. Then we could have done a lot of research on this. Anyway, that was that.
Wild at Heart, there's a new Blu-ray that's out, and it has a deleted scene with you in it. And it has your character, George, shooting pigeons, and you have a little bit longer monologue with Sailor and Lulu.
Now, Wild at Heart, darling David, Wild at Heart, we had to cut a couple of scenes. The shooting the pigeons from the top of the roof. I was up this roof, and Dad shoot around the bloody police arm, but I pretend you shoot. Two things I remember about it. I've been given this script, which is absolutely so bloody funny. This man that I played had a manic thing about pigeons, calling them rats on wings, he said.
Yes.
He was quite a maniac about these pigeons. He wanted to shoot them off. And one moment in the speech, he said, as a matter of fact, I want to lob a grenade up there, but they said, don't. That's sort of mania. And it's a long speech. It's about a 3-minute take, perhaps a little more.
Yeah.
And so I had the two protagonists on my left, and David behind the bar with the camera, and he had sunglasses, what you call shades, a cap right over his eyes, and a handkerchief round his face. And I said, David, what are you doing? And he said, I am telling you about this, but I can't help laughing. I can't help laughing. The scene, when you did the speech, I can't. Anyway, we did it. And we did it, and it got applause from all the people around. But the payoff to the story is, Freddie, this is David here. This is why I bloody love him so much. I gotta tell you, I've done something really terrible. I don't want to say about this. I said, what the hell are you talking about? He said, it's your voice. I said, what I've done for your voice. I said, what have you done? I said, if it's on the fucking cutting room floor, David, don't give that. I've been on the cutting room floor. I'm quite at home on the cutting room floor. Leave that. Don't forget. No. He said, no, I've done a terrible thing to your voice. What happened was... What happened was he'd be sitting in the suite, the sound suite, and playing this over and over again, this speech, and it was too long for its context. So he said, I was winding back, and I suddenly thought, that's it. So he speeded up at the time it took to wind back. And he said, I said, you haven't run all the way from bloody LA yet just to tell me you done that to me. He said, hey, listen, you're the greatest actor on earth, and I know this to your voice.
It's so memorable.
You can see why I love him.
It's such a small part, but it's so memorable, and I love it. I love that happened. Do you have other stories you'd like to share with us working with David Lynch? I know you worked on Dune.
In Dune, the character I played has to ingest purple substance of some sort, you see, which showed on his mouth, around his mouth. So I suddenly had a brilliant idea. So I went up to David when we were shooting, and I said, I've got a marvelous surprise for you. He said, yeah, what? I said, oh, for a beaker full of the warm south, the true, the blushful hippocrene, with beaded bubbles winking at the brim, and purple stained mouth. He said, "Hey, what is that? What is that?" I said, "It's Keats."
You seem like you gave Lynch a lot of ideas. It seems like he really enjoyed your knowledge and what you brought to the table.
Right. Yeah, well, that's what Clint Eastwood said. He said, "You bring a big bag," which is a lovely compliment. Going through my desk, I discovered Eraserhead, which I was knocked out by.
Yeah.
It's his first film ever.
Yeah.
I just discovered I've still got it, so I'm going to bloody play that and show it to my sons.
Oh, wow.
It's so wonderful.
That is awesome. It's quite a film. What are you working on now?
Nothing at all. I just left soap opera after 11 years. I turned it down. So I'm free now, so tell your friends.
I love these stories that you're sharing with us. I think they're really something else, and I love the different characters you've played for Lynch. Is there anything else you want to share with us before we go?
The Elephant Man, he was bloody wonderful, and he always turned up in a dreary navy blue overcoat, white shirt, buttoned up to the neck, up to the chin. Not ungraciously, one of us said to him, "David, David, do you ever consider undoing the top button?" And he said, no, I guess I wouldn't do that. It kind of makes me feel exposed." Exposed.
That's funny.
And I think with the weight of all these so brilliant British talent around him, brilliant Gielgud and all that, I think he found it a bit overwhelming. One of the bastards, by the way, brought him up at some point to tears, for which I will never forgive him. Anyway, apparently, quietly, he shed tears, David. I will never forgive this bloody actor for that. So there we are. I don't know if I have anything else, really. I just love him dearly, and I think he's hugely, vastly talented. There's one thing I dined out on. He said to me, I'd worked with Fellini at this time, and he said, I gotta tell you, I really like it's quite a good impersonation.
I love it.
I gotta tell you, I really would like to see you meet. And I came up with a monumental line which I shall never forget. David, I'll introduce you to Fellini. But I didn't need to because later, subsequently, he met him anyway. But that was one of the great moments of my life. I'll introduce you to the great Lynchy to Fellini. There we are.
It is such an honor to talk with you. You're an amazing actor. I am blown away. It's such a privilege to get to talk with you, and we thank you so much for your time.
It's a great pleasure. Anything to do with David is a great pleasure.
So that was cool. We got to talk to Freddie. And he talks about that scene, that long monologue about shooting pigeons. And it all got cut. And then they changed his voice. And it's kind of funny to go from, pages of a story to
a high-pitched voice guy.
Yeah. That's true. It was truly funny. But I know how he feels about pigeons. Sometimes pigeons are quite annoying.
Yes.
So on the Blu-ray, I think the only real new thing is Barry Gifford, who we got to interview at a previous show. But there's a whole new interview about between the book and the movie. And what I love about what he had to share was that he was okay with Lynch's version. The ending is different from the book, and there's
well, the ending is different from the book because when he did the original ending, I thought, didn't Lynch record it with Sailor leaving, and then they tested it. He went to higher ups. I forget who was the person. Was it Tony Goldwyn or something?
That sounds right.
And said, this is depressing. And Lynch says, well, I have a different ending. Can I do it? And they said, well, what is it? I guess he explained himself, and they said, okay, go ahead and film it. And when they did, they liked it more, and so they said, yeah, go with the happy ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've heard that, and I've also heard, I think, Room to Dream, I think Lynch basically says that, like, during this time, it was always about the negative, and I didn't care. I wanted something that was positive, too. Or
That's right.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the film itself shows that. The scene with Lula in the car where she's changing the radio and everything is violent.
Yes.
They said this person kills and that person drowned and that person thing, and she pulls over and she's like, Sailor! Put music on this car, you know.
She's so angry. It's like,
you know, the book was like, okay, they leave and they're not together, and it's like through this whole movie, you're rooting for them as a couple. You're rooting for them to continue. You're rooting for them. So how could you have them be apart and be like, okay, yeah, that's it. They leave and they realize they're bad for each other. Right. No, you know, like it's like it's perfect. The only thing I hated about that ending was Nicolas Cage's nose.
What? You like
Elvis.
his nose?
It's like Elvis' nose.
Yeah.
I know, but it was like, because it was so punched and it was so discolored. Now, I understand he's going to be bruised, but it was so, like, false looking.
Yeah.
That, like, I couldn't even take it seriously. I'm like, come on. Like, seriously, please. Like, make it bloody. Don't make it just bruised. You know, if you're going to do that, do the whole thing.
Yeah.
So changing the ending of the book, you know, Lynch did reach out to Barry Gifford, and Barry Gifford by that time is already working on a new, like, there's a series of Lula Sailor stories. So I don't know if he was on the second or third one, and Lynch just calls him up and says, do they eventually get together? And he says, yes. All right, so I can make it a happy ending because in the story they will someday get together. So that was pretty cool. Yeah. The ending is my favorite part of the whole movie. I mean, I think
no. I love. Don't get me wrong.
I know that.
I love the ending. I just didn't like his nose.
Right. Oh, I totally agree.
Yeah.
This is probably one of my least favorite Lynch films. I mean, it might go Dune and then Wild Heart.
Wow.
I don't know. I should say that, but I love the ending.
You really hate Dune?
I don't hate Dune. I just don't get Dune, and
I would put Dune my least favorite. I would put this above Dune.
That's what I'm saying. It would be Dune is the very worst, and then Wild Heart is second worst.
Oh, I wouldn't. Oh man, Wild Heart.
I'm gonna get people.
Wild Heart would go higher for me.
Wait a minute, but when you say higher, I mean I'm saying it's better than Dune.
It is better than Dune, but I don't know.
Anyways, I love the ending. And
I will say it's better than Dune, but I have a soft spot for Dune. Dune was like the first Lynch I saw, so Dune will always be kind of like middle of the road. It will never be on the bottom.
I mean, I will watch all of Lynch's films. I like Kyle MacLachlan. I love that. There's things I liked about Dune.
Yeah.
Just, there's other movies.
No, it's not for everybody.
Right.
It's fine.
But
long live the fighters! Come on.
But Wild at Heart, that whole idea that, you have Cheryl Lee as the good witch, and she says, Sailor, you gotta go back. Oh, first he's walking down the street, he leaves Lula, and he's like, this isn't gonna work out, we're breaking up. And then the gang surrounds him, and then they're on every side. He calls them basically, homosexuals.
Not a nice word.
Not a nice way of saying that. And they punch him, and he beats him up, and he gets on the ground, and that's when he sees Cheryl Lee's the good witch.
He has an epiphany.
Just, you gotta go back. You love each other. It's
yeah.
And then he runs back to her, and I don't know. Maybe
it's
I'm
sweet.
A romantic. I love it. And then for him to sing the
Love
Elvis
Me Tender.
song, "Love Me Tender,"
Oh,
and he starts off saying that, like, I'm only gonna say that to my wife, and it's like, so you basically know it's gonna be a happy ending.
Yeah, and then he meets his kid, and in the deleted scene, his kid's like, "Is he gonna love me?" And that was very sweet.
And see, I watched that, and then and watched the endings clip again after that.
Yeah.
And it made when she looks at her son, when Sailor comes back and he jumps over the car and she jumps out of the car and she's hugging Sailor and he turns her and she looks at Pace. That's his name, right?
That's his
Pace?
name.
Yep. Yep.
And she looks and he smiles at her like, it's okay, this is good. And then she smiles back and then she hugs Sailor more and then they kiss. It's like, it makes that whole thing okay. It was like, okay, they come first circle, they're going to do this. And he's, it's a nice moment. It was framed really well.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I'll say with this Blu-ray, it's like the quality is beautiful, and like the colors really pop, and I think it's a great. I want all of Lynch's work to be on Blu-ray. So I mean, anytime they'll put out a Blu-ray of Lynch's work, I'll get it. But it looks great, and I think we were talking beforehand. Most likely, there was a master transfer, and they're just maybe it was for DVD, and they put it on Blu-ray. I mean, it wasn't like Lynch went in and said, "Oh, we're going to color correct this," and he didn't re-edit this. But it looks. Right. It looks the best it's ever looked.
Yeah, and it's funny because in the States, we're getting this Blu-ray now, but this Blu-ray existed in the UK.
Oh, yeah.
And so last year I was ordering the movie so I could watch it.
Right.
And it was on Blu-ray.
Thank you, Bryan.
But in Australia or whatever, and I ordered 2 copies. I'm like, oh, our systems will play it. Our systems are region free, but the Blu-ray was region locked. And it would not play.
Oh, no.
And it's weird.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so I bought 2 Blu-rays of Wild at Heart.
I thank you, Bryan.
But yeah, I know.
I know. I appreciate you going. You actually went and did all the research and got it.
But the weird thing is, I own the X-Files, the entire season. It's from Australia.
Oh yeah,
It's
the whole series. The
whole series, and
200
it works
episodes.
fine.
Yeah.
It works fine, but
That's
it's not
weird.
region locked.
Yeah.
So okay, here's the thing.
I can wait till
It's got to be if it's a region free disc, it works. But it's a region locked disc.
Just get DVDs and Blu-rays that are from the U.S.
Yeah.
Don't go with it.
So I learned my lesson. But
Yeah,
now
so
we
note to self, no Australian Blu-ray DVDs.
Yeah. Well, we got emails from people who listen to us saying it's out on Blu-ray, but not in the United States. And we're like, we know. And
Right.
you guys are lucky.
And that's what I mean. I think there's like Lost Highway. There might
Yes.
be a Blu-ray version.
Yes,
of that,
there
which
is.
I'm waiting
Yeah.
for the U.S.
version.
Yeah. So one of the things they have on the Blu-ray is the uncensored Bobby Peru scene where he gets his head blown off. There was a lot of controversy about this. That like some people were mad that like when they put it out on DVD, they censored it. I don't know if they fogged it up, they smoked it up or something like that.
They
But
did. They smoked it up.
Yeah, and people were like, "I want the true original version of that," and like, who cares?
What do you think, JC? What do you think about that scene?
She loved it. She loves seeing people's heads blown off.
No, but I mean, do you like in this day and age?
In this day and age, I mean, you still saw his scalp with like brain matter, like still flipped down.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, first of all, it shocked me because I wasn't prepared for it. Like I didn't expect him. I expected him to load it and not hit it and hit himself. I expected him to like hit Sailor or the cop or I didn't expect that scene to go like that. But I liked the smoke. I liked that it was more like, okay, this is what happened. We're going to show you a little teensy bit of it, but you know that he blew his head off, kind of thing. I didn't need to see all that. I don't understand why people need to see. Like even at the beginning with the, what is it, is it Bobby Ray Lemon? Wait, Ray Lemon, or the guy that Marietta hires to kill Sailor in the first scene.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's Bobby. I think it's Bobby Ray Lemon, and when he's smashing his head down, and then when you see it all, it's like I didn't need all that. Like you could have done it bloody Lynch, but you didn't have to do the.
Yes.
You didn't have to do it all. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's something to be said for nuanced violence.
Yeah. I agree. I don't think you need that much violence. And it's funny that we're just talking about how Lula didn't like all the violence, and yet this film all around us, there is violence. And and it's funny with the Bobby Peru scene. There's almost a little part of it that's kind of comical because it's like it's so outrageous. Like it's disgusting, but it's so outrageous. Like somebody's head just got shot off. I mean, it's just
he's a comic. He's like a cartoon character almost.
Well, it is, and it's comical because he thought he was going to get away, and he was going to be big old, Bobby Peru, and he was going to, kill Sailor and everything else. And sure enough, he killed himself.
Yeah.
So it's an ironic. It's a kind of like without being
And he's smiling even when the cop is about to get him. He's still smiling.
Yeah.
He still seems to be so happy, like
with those horrible teeth. Oh my God. I had nightmares about his face. You watch Blue Velvet and you have Frank Booth and he's evil, but Dennis Hopper is like, all you see is his eyes. Like Dennis Hopper when he's, all franked out and he's like, rah, it's his eyes. And then you have, William Dafoe, who, like I said, I mean, he, even in Spider-Man, he freaks me out. So now in this scene, and he's all with his fake teeth and this trying to be suave guy, and it's just it's icky. It's kind of like Mr. C icky, but to a heightened level. Mr. C, because it still sees some of Kyle. It's kind of like, okay, he's mean and he's evil, but he's still kind of Cooper-esque,
right?
Yeah,
whereas Bobby Peru is just. Yeah.
Do you now? I would say Booth for me over Bobby Peru. What do you got? You guys out of those two villains?
Who's more of a villain?
Yeah. Who do you like more out of those two villains?
I like Booth more.
Me too. I think Booth's
He's actually seems a little more complex.
Well, Booth is smarter. So Booth is more conniving.
Yeah.
Booth is more planned and he's you know, he's deliberate in what he's doing. Whereas Bobby Peru, I think, is just kind of, he's a crazy ex-Marine, you know, got on the wrong side because he saw all this stuff go down, PTSD kind of, you know, and he just wasn't a good guy to begin with. And then he went through all this crap. So it's now he's heightened even more. Frank Booth is maniacal and smart. Frank has a little shred of humanity in him. And I say this because I'm writing about Blue Velvet now for 25 years later, and I've been writing about it for a while because I've been trying to delve into a lot of things. And for me, the scene where he watches Dorothy on stage when Jeffrey and Sandy are at the bar and they're watching, and then he sees Frank and Jeffrey backs up to watch him, and he sees him there. Or no, he's not with Sandy that time. I don't think. I think he's by himself. But he sees him, and he sees him almost crying while she's singing. And at that one moment, you see a shred of humanity in Frank. Whereas in Bobby, you don't see that at all. He's kind of like this, kind of like animal-esque type, just character.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
I agree.
Yes, he's very. That's why he thinks he can have Lula there, and I feel like he's just so used to getting what he wants. You know, I can take what I want.
It's all like, if we're going to be Freudian, it's all id. It's all like, you know, he wants and he's going to get kind of thing.
We had Chris Isaac do the Wicked Games. I remember Wicked Games back in the day, 1990.
I know. That was a cool video.
It was. And David Lynch did a video. He didn't do the woman on the sand beach with the...
He didn't do the Elena Christensen one, but he did do one. Yeah, you're right.
He did one. He did like the movie version.
Yes, the movie version, yeah.
That's cool.
That scene was interesting. Now, how about like Cheryl and Friend, Girl in the Accident?
Oh, yeah. And that's all Lynch. That was not part of the book. That was something he added.
No.
But I loved that.
Which I did, and I liked it because it was Lynchy, and I think that's it. And it sticks out. It sticks out. The parts that Lynch added on his own, you could tell, stick out amongst the other ones. Like especially, we'll go back to the Girl in the Accident scene, but the first scene where I talked about Lula, the guy bumps into her, and then Sailor stops the music, and like the whole metal band just stops, and I'm like, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen in real life. Like, you're going to put your hand up and a whole metal band's going to stop playing? Seriously? Like, no, that's not going to happen. So, but that scene is very dream-like. It doesn't. He doesn't put the dream imagery in it, but the fact that he just starts singing. And then what I love about that scene, too, is that they do this 50s-esque with the screaming girls, like when he starts singing and it's like right there, that to me is a very Lynchian dream-like moment.
Yeah, he's very Elvis-like.
So, yes, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And my snakeskin jacket that shows my personal... What is it? My personal style and my formability or whatever the line is. I love that he keeps repeating that.
So did you hear about Nicolas Cage story about that jacket?
Yes, it was his own jacket. He asked David if he could bring it, right?
Yeah. He actually bought it when he moved to LA and he wore it, and then he's like, you know what, I can't wear this. I'll put it in my closet. And then when he tried out for the character and he got it, he said, I got this skin jacket that might work, this snake skin jacket that might work. And Lynch is like, okay, bring it in. And he brought it in. He goes, I think I can make this work.
Yeah.
Yeah, my personal freedom and individuality.
Yes.
Have I told you about this jacket?
I love that.
That's great.
Yeah.
And I think he wanted to say that he felt like there was characters in cinema that are represented by just the clothing they wear, and he thought that was really important.
James Dean being one of them.
That was the example he used. So
and that's true. If you think about Sailor Ripley, that's which you see, Nicolas Cage's slick back hair, sort of on the longish side, and you see that snakeskin jacket. That is who he is. And when you think of Lula, you think of this curly crimped hair and these red lips and, lace is what I keep going back to, black.
Yeah.
But going back to the Girl in the Accident, the reason that scene is so great is because it shows how they were on this quest, and I don't think they felt like they could be touched by any outside force.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're thrust into this very realistic moment of having to try to care for, and then the girl, and I love the scene where she's like, oh, I have something sticky in my hair, but you could see her like putting her finger in her head. I was like, oh. And then Lula gets so mad, she's like, why'd she have to die in front of us? Like, why'd you have to die? Kind of thing. And it's because it broke the spell. It broke the spell of them being together on this, love quest and, going and having carefree, fancy-free time. And then now this is a really real thing that they have to deal with.
Yeah.
And it brings her back into that sense of reality that it's not so perfect. You know?
Reality slaps them in the face.
I think we talked about this when we originally talked about Wild at Heart, but it's funny that there's this accident that kind of like maybe you make them rethink about their relationship and everything. And then at the end of the movie, it's the traffic that kind of stops Lula from going anywhere, and that's why Sailor's able to catch up to her and say that he loves her and he wants to be with her forever. But it's funny that it's sometimes things out of their control that either separates them or brings them together.
That's very true.
Yeah, I agree. The
forces around them that they can't control. Yeah.
That's right. I agree.
Looking at the Blu-ray content, I mean, there's a lot of features. There's a lot of the making of on here. Like, we have the Love, Death, Elvis, and Oz, the making of Wizard of Oz featurettes. We have the Sailor and Lula image gallery. It's funny that it's like a lot of those galleries are just images, but this one is like has music and just moving images. So, I don't know. They put some time into it, I guess.
That's cute.
Yeah. It's really those extended scenes and deleted scenes that really make it worth it. Because the lime green box that you have right now, JC, that's hard to get. It's like you go to eBay, it's like $200. It's really hard to find.
Yeah.
So now a wider audience can get to see these deleted scenes, which I think is
well,
great.
I hate to tell you guys, but in them yet, go on YouTube and Google Wild at Heart deleted scenes, and they're all there.
Ah, there you go. That's true.
They are.
Yeah.
I watched them on the DVD, but I also watched them again on YouTube because I was at work and I'm like, I want to watch this one scene again. And I keep forgetting the scene. It's the scene with the cotton ball, because that scene I thought was perfectly framed and very Lynchian. And I'm like, why? That was a really good moment between the two of them, where Sailor's like telling her about his dream, and I really like that scene. I liked the film. I did not love the film.
Mm-hmm.
There's like sorry Andrew and Laura, because I know they're going to listen to this and they're going to be like, JC. But no, I liked the film. It's Lynch taking somebody else's story, which I appreciate. But and I do agree with David when he called it, it's a love story set in hell, or it's a love story that's where they're fighting through hell to get to the to the end of it. And he did. He had all the dark, and then at the end you have Glinda Good Witch, and then you have love. So it's true.
Right. It's a good point. I think I agree. I like it. I don't love it. There's things I like about it. Yeah. And it's interesting that we do have a lot of different Twin Peaks people that are involved with this. You have Jack Nance, who's talking about his dog.
Yes. It's so great, some of the characters you see in this film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have...
well, I want to point out my favorite side character, Crispin Glover, as Dell.
Yeah, Dell.
I love the scene with the sandwiches.
Oh, yeah.
And the mom walks down, and he's just like, I'm trying to make a sandwich. And
I'm trying to make my lunch.
Yes, my lunch. And then he's got all these squished sandwiches everywhere.
Like he's been like making 100 sandwiches or something.
And he's trying to cut the crust off just perfectly.
Oh, man.
But then, with those deleted scenes, you learn more about him and Lula.
I forgot about that.
Which is very disturbing, which I'm glad they kind of cut out, personally.
In the deleted scenes, doesn't he works at a gas station and he lost his hair? Because one of the scenes she says, he goes, what happened to Della? And she goes, I don't know. He probably somewhere where he's balding and lost his hair. And then you see them like pull up to the gas station. In the gas station, I, who is in season 3, on the phone saying, no, I don't know where George is. The maintenance guy.
Yeah.
The maintenance guy in Buckhorn in the apartment, in Ruth's apartment.
Yeah.
That guy in front. That's the gas
Is
station.
it the same guy? Really?
Same guy.
Oh, my gosh. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, and he's a young guy in this.
Yeah, he's a young guy in this. Oh, yeah, very young.
25
he was always
years.
in bit parts. I forget the actor's name. He's a character actor, but he's always in like bit parts. Like he's been in bit parts. There's a Michael J. Fox movie. I remember he had a bit part in it.
Wow.
Like he's like a bit part guy.
I think he was in
character guy.
Homicide TV show there.
Really?
Yeah.
But I just love when he goes and he sees him in the back and he's balding and he's like, we need you or something. He's like, I told you, I need 5 minutes, precisely 5 minutes. And like, he's like yelling at him. And
oh my God.
His character arc, even though it was very small, was very comical and funny. And it works in the movie. In the lead scenes, like I said, I don't know. In the real movie, did they talk about him?
No.
That's not in there, yeah.
No, just in the deleted scenes. That's why it would have changed the story immensely, but it would have showed more. It would have showed more backstory with Lula, which would have been, I think, a good thing. But no, it didn't.
The cockroaches in his underwear, and he's doing the walk. Or then he's outside saying, "How are you doing?" to random people. I love that. Yeah, and
that was funny.
And he's trying to giggle, and people are like, "What?" They're trying to step around him. Oh, I love that stuff.
Yeah,
it was really funny stuff.
So, I mean, if you really do like Wild at Heart, I recommend getting the Blu-ray.
I'm going to get the Blu-ray. I'm very excited.
And check out the lead scenes.
Yeah.
Bryan's going to get a third Blu-ray, but this time it's going to work.
Yeah. Well, he has the Blu-ray. I haven't bought it yet.
Oh, that's right. You don't have the Blu-ray yet.
No.
Yeah.
Ben got the non-working.
Get on that, Bryan. Come on Amazon. Get on
I'm in the future. You're in the past.
Yes. What year is this? I'm going to go to a brick and mortar store and buy it. No more Amazon.
No more Amazon. For once, Amazon came through, and I actually did get it before everybody else.
I know. I would laugh at them. Everybody like, I didn't get my book in time. I didn't get this in time. I'm like,
I got it 2 months early.
Yeah, you just go to Best Buy and go buy it.
So, J.C., what have you been up to? What have you been working on it 25 years later?
We're working on a lot. There's a couple of new things that are going to come out that are top secret, so I'm not going to say anything right now. But in September, look for a couple new features that are going to be out there.
Nice.
If you liked our Lynch nights, it's going to be on that sort of tip, but it's not going to be Lynch that we're covering. So just to keep an open mind to that. I'm writing. Like I said, I'm writing a Lynch night that should be out in a week. So if this doesn't go on for a while, then it won't be. But I'm writing a piece for Lynch night based on Blue Velvet.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
What else? Just editing and writing and trying to put our good name out there 25 years later.
Awesome.
Follow us on Instagram. Laura and I are running the Instagram account, so we try to do articles or stuff that we're interested in or cool pictures. So we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook. You can subscribe to us, 25 Years Later site. Go on and click in the little corner, subscribe, and you'll never miss out on an article. So, yeah, cool. We got that going for us. So, yeah,
and you're
waiting for another Kyle tasting so we can go to New York and see our man there.
We got to do that. Come on.
I know.
And he's got to announce one. So when he announces one, Brett says, "I'll tell you if I hear first." I said, "You better, lady."
Yeah.
So JC, I didn't tell you. Remember how I mentioned Monster Mania and how Ray Wise has got the Maryland?
Oh, I saw that. It's going to be Cheryl Lee's going to be there too.
Yes.
Road trip. No, I'm busy.
Yeah, me and Ben, I told Ben all excited. I'm like, Cheryl Lee's going to be there with Ray Wise. But we're going to skip it.
I don't know. It's hard.
It's a tough one. It's a 5-hour drive. And
when is it?
It's September 28th through the 30th.
So it's the same time as the UK Fest.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's interesting.
I know.
But it's in Maryland?
Yep.
I know.
It's in Maryland.
Why couldn't it be New Jersey?
I know.
Yeah, that would have been great if it was with Billy Zane.
Billy Zane!
Here we go again. Billy Zane.
Poor Billy Zane.
Oh, I love Billy Zane. Don't get me wrong.
I know.
But no, that would be awesome. That's awesome that Ray and Cheryl are going to be there, especially together.
But maybe next year, because I was telling Ben, Monster Mania, they happen in Maryland and New Jersey like at least twice a year. So in March they have the New Jersey one.
Okay.
So that's a total possibility.
Totally.
Well, there you go. Let's hope.
And so the rewatch is almost over, right? You guys are almost done with season 3 of the rewatch.
It is. Yeah, the rewatch is still going on for the next couple of weeks, so we'll be finishing up that soon. So.
Wow.
It was the summer of Peaks once again.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really good.
Pretty cool. And right now, talking about the summer of Peaks, the Blue Rose magazine, Women of Lynch. Did you get your issue?
No, I didn't get it yet. I have it on order.
Awesome.
Nice.
Scott's probably going to yell at me for that, but I did. I ordered it. I promise.
You just got excited when you saw that cover. He's like, "Yes, now is the time to go and get it." Right?
That's a selling point.
Awesome. That is a selling point. It's really
well, I love that. I love that it's Senorita Dido and Blake did the Blake did the photography.
Yeah.
And Mary Reaver's on the cover and her daughter. So it was really cool.
It is
Yeah.
so
And
cool.
Laura's in it. Laura wrote in it. Cheryl wrote in it from 25 Years Later.
Wow.
Shirley Latter, Laura Stewart. I mean, so many.
And
so many
Courtney's
of our
really
writers.
taken over that issue there from.
Oh, Courtney did an outstanding job. She deserves all the accolades that issue is coming out about, because it was brilliant. And that was a big undertaking. I'm very proud of her what she did.
40 essays. I still can't believe that. I still can't believe it. Yeah,
I know.
Courtney.
It's so cool. So you can get that at bluerosemag.com. Subscribe and get that issue. Support those guys. Support Scott and John and Courtney and all those fine folks who did that beautiful issue.
Absolutely.
It was just about a week or so ago, you and Rob King actually put out your last article on Room to Dream.
Room to Dream. Yep, we had a conversation about the last 3 chapters, and it was interesting. It was it's kind of funny because I kind of like read quickly quickly over the first half of the book, and then I really read those 3 chapters so I could discuss them with Rob. And now I'm going back and reading the beginning again so I can really go into more detail. I think a lot of biography should be structured that way, where an author writes, about it, and then the person actually gets to tell you stories based on that information, because it was kind of neat to see both sides.
It totally was,
but
yeah.
I have to download the audiobook because I still want to hear Lynch himself speak.
You and me both. I'm doing that next.
And he gives you different stories. I mean, that's the craziest part, is like the stories aren't the same. Like, it's not, it says unabridged, but it is not an unabridged. It's a whole different
Lynch doesn't care about your rules. He doesn't want to be put in a box.
I'm not going to just reread what I've already said. I'm going to tell you other things.
Yeah.
But yeah,
bedtime stories with Lynch. There you go. Bedtime stories with Lynch. Right before bed.
That would be awesome.
Put in your ear.
That would be awesome.
I know.
Good stuff.
I want to say thank you to JC and everybody in the Twin Peaks community. We got ourselves nominated. We're going to be in the TV film category for the Podcast Awards.
Yay.
That's awesome. When is that?
Just so everybody knows, everybody got us voted in to be nominated. We haven't won anything yet. We are going to be in the TV film category, which will be voted on by 1,000 peers, podcast peers. I don't know who these people are. There's 1,000 of them, from what I was told. They are going to vote on who's going to win. You can watch the live stream September 30th at 5 p.m. Pacific time. It will be streaming live at thepodcastawards.com. I will be watching. It's an hour-long stream, and they're going to do all the categories. And if we win, you'll see a little video of Ben and myself.
That means we have to do a video.
We have to do a video.
That'll be fun.
But it's very exciting. We got nominated last year. We lost to Hollywood Outsider, which is a very great Yeah, we never heard of them, but they were a great podcast. And we were up against a lot of great podcasts. And this year, it's even crazier, the amount of people that are in our category. So
be including it with 10 people or 10 podcasters is really incredible.
And this is worldwide too. This is not just the United States. This is worldwide podcast awards. So it's kind of cool.
Awesome.
Yeah,
it's pretty awesome.
Very awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah.
Thank you, JC.
Yeah, and if anybody has a comment, question, or theory about Wild at Heart, give us an email, twinpeaksunwrapped@gmail.com. You can follow us at Twin Peaks Unwrapped on Twitter, on Facebook. And JC, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter. I'm jhotch726 at Twitter. And then you could find me, if you click on the team link in 25 Years Later, you'll see my other contact there, my email and my my site.
Awesome.
So,
awesome.
Can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank you. Yeah. I appreciate it. I'll keep you guys posted. We'll have to plan our next live show, too.
That'd be awesome.
All right. We'll see you guys next week.
And there's very tender moments, and then there's very violent moments, and then there's confusion and despair, and then suddenly you're in love. So there's got to be room for all these things, in a film.
Can I talk to Lula?
You are not gonna see him ever. Like hell.
Film, in my mind, should have contrast in it. It should have many, many different kinds of, feelings, all, weaving their way throughout. Along the way, you get some shocking things and some tender things.